I didn't get the diagnosis at 47. I did get a diagnosis at 47. I got mild cognitive impairment. At that time, uh, the doctor that he had me seeing um, said he was hoping it would get better. Then after about 6 months and watching and monitoring closely, he said it probably wouldn't get better. You probably should be closer to family and friends. Um, by that time, I had already been dismissed from my doctorate program, so I moved home to Virginia from San Diego uh, with my support animal, Miss Z, my dog. A couple of months later in December, uh, December 16th, 2016. Um, by that was the date that my one of my neurologists got on a video a conference call with me and said, "I think you have a neurodegenerative disease." And then he said, "I'll talk to you, but there's not much we can do. I'll talk to you in 3 months." And he hung up.
He was also told, "Go home. You're gonna die."
This was the worst day of my life. I came home. Um, I knew the possibility was there, but to face it, um, I, I could I couldn't come out and say it when I got home. My doctor taught me that I couldn't depend on doctors, and so I did all the research that I could do, and started asking all the questions that all the research told me to ask, and I fired that doctor and found other doctors. Um, and but it still took
Well,
2 years
mm-hmm.
uh, to finally get my Parkinson's specialist doctor to say to look at all the symptoms and to look at all the information I pulled up, and she was willing to learn everything about Louis. She was a Parkinson's specialist, but she said, "No, give it to me, and I'll figure it out." And then she said, "Yeah, I can see that you may have Lewy body dementia." Um, at that time, she said possible, uh, which is the first step, because she was worried that I might also have it could also be multiple system atrophy, which is another form of alpha synuclein deformation from protein. Um, she sent me to a specialist outside of the VA, Dr. Rogers, who I really like now. But he was the one who said probably that it's probable to Lewy body, and he's been seeing me ever since. I'm very outspoken.
I wonder where you got that from.
I got that from mom, and it's made me a strong advocate. So I don't mind firing a doctor if that's what it takes to get a good doctor that's going to see me and recognize me. That's one of the things I really want a doctor to do: see me.
Understand that a lot of these, not all, but a lot of doctors don't understand the condition to begin with. I have no idea what these things are. And there are a lot of patients out there. I only speak because I go to some of the conferences with him and I listen to some of the other patients and I listen to some of the things they're told. Um, they're either thought of as complainers or you don't know what you're talking about. I'm the person that knows medicine. What do you know? But we, a human nature, have to, and I love him for that. He's always been one that has never sat in the back and say, okay, well, they said, and take it for granted. He's always questioned it. Even when it was somebody else's situation, he went and found the information, you know.
One of the things
Um,
that I struggled with was that I had an above average intelligence. Okay, I was in the middle of my doctorate program. I've had more than one career, and I've owned a coffee shop and done all kinds of things. And so when they diagnose, they say, "Well, you're in the norm for your age." Well, wait a minute. I was never the norm for my age. I
No,
was way up here.
never, never.
So what you're telling me is that I've decreased to this. And it took a long time to find doctors who were willing to finally say, "Yes, you're absolutely right. We looked at this at one time, and you were here. And even though some of these numbers are still in that norm area, they're not norm for you." Uh, Neurologists could really help us have a better quality of life. Hear us, listen to us, give us ideas after a diagnosis that say, instead of saying you're dying, instead of saying you have 2 to 6 years and we can't do anything, um, instead of that, go ahead and hand us a pamphlet that talks about support groups in the area, that
Where to
talks
go?
about community centers, that talks about things that people living with dementia are doing today. That gives us hope.
More support, more support, more support. It's very important.